I believe so. I believe so. I think that you can point to the Russell Wilsons, the Patrick Mahomes, the Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and others are being incredibly pivotal, and I'm not arguing that. It's just that when I look at the Baltimore Ravens offense, everything is predicated on Lamar Jackson. As good as we know Mark Ingram to be, was he this good before playing with Lamar Jackson? He was running the football effectively in New Orleans, but not to this degree. When we look at Hollywood Brown and others, or even a Mark Andrews, how good were they when Joe Flacco was throwing the football? In the case of Mark Andrews, obviously, not necessarily Hollywood Brown. My point is that he is their offense. You look at Kansas City, you got Tyreek and Travis. You look at Green Bay with Valdez-Scantling and Devontae Adams. You look at New Orleans with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and now Emmanuel Sanders. You know, you look at guys like that, okay? But in the case of Lamar Jackson, I'm just of the mindset that without him, you don't have an offense at all. And that's why I consider him to be the most pivotal offensive piece for his team in the NFL at this particular moment in time.
There's a very good argument to be made for Lamar Jackson, but I'm going to make one for Patrick Mahomes because I think it's actually the answer. Lamar Jackson is hard to approximate, right? But you can get guys. You can get a backup like RG3. You can go get Colin Kaepernick if he can still play, at least take a look to see if he can. There are guys around the league like Josh Allen or real poor man versions of Lamar Jackson like Trubisky or someone like that. The point is there are guys around the league who do some really, bad imitation of what Lamar Jackson does, including backups. The question is, what would they be on the Ravens? What would the Ravens offense be with them? I think it's possible the Ravens would still be a really good team, even with a quarterback who can only kind of imitate some of the things, not even that well, that Lamar Jackson can do, right? Because he still hasn't won a playoff game. And I'm not saying he won't, but so far, the premium that Lamar Jackson has given you is in the regular season. You've gotten to the playoffs a couple of years. Are you saying you couldn't find a quarterback to get you to the playoffs with the Ravens? Because after that, what premium do you get? You haven't won. Now let's take Patrick Mahomes. They had a really good quarterback. Alex Smith, when he was healthy, he didn't have a strong arm, but he was a good quarterback. And the premium that you get from Patrick Mahomes is basically every year you're the favorites to win the Super Bowl. I mean, Patrick Mahomes played 2 years. I know he has all these weapons and everything, but plug someone else in. Do they make the playoffs? Maybe. Do they win once they're in the playoffs? No. No. Do they win the Super Bowl every time? Like Patrick Mahomes, the first time he touched the ball. This dude was in the AFC Championship game. Tom Brady threw a pick to end the game, and a pre-snap penalty gave Tom Brady the ball back, and then Mahomes didn't get to touch it in overtime. I'm here to tell you, if not for that whistle, Mahomes is going for his third straight Super Bowl right now. Because the very next year, he wins the Super Bowl, coming back 3 times on 3 different teams in the playoffs, down double digits. Mahomes is special. The premium he gives you. I know, Stephen A., you look at that team and go, yeah, but a lot of guys would be good with that team. But I think the same is true with the Ravens. But the difference is, because you have Mahomes, every year you're supposed to win the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson has not yet won a playoff game, and I think you could find other quarterbacks to do that.
Well, first of all, a couple of things. Number one, they didn't win the Super Bowl every year. Last time I checked, they have one Super Bowl championship, and that's last year. The year before, no matter what rationale you throw into the equation, they did lose because they didn't show up in the first half. They came back in the second half and obviously overcame a deficit and tied and could have and should have maybe won that game. But if they hadn't put themselves in a hole in the first half, maybe it wouldn't have come down to that. So it's a 60-minute game, and they didn't show up for the first 30 minutes. That's the reality of the situation 2 years ago. Last year, they won a Super Bowl. I recall seeing how Patrick Mahomes played in the first 3.5 quarters. I recall them being limited to 10 points at that particular moment in time. I recall them being down 10 points. I recall us all looking at Patrick Mahomes and saying, what the hell is going on? How the hell is this happening? This defense is holding them in check, okay? And then he flooded up a Hail Mary, as far as I'm concerned, to Tyreek Hill, and he came down with it, and obviously things went in their direction because Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy G hit the panic button, and that's what happened. My point is this. Patrick Mahomes is a stud. He is a superstar. I get all of that. But I have said it before, and I've said it, and I'll say it again. Tyreek Hill is no joke. Travis Kelce's no joke. Sammy Watkins is no joke. Damian Williams was no joke. Now Carl Edwards-Helaire is no joke as well. So I look at the multitude of weapons. Now, if you want to tell me that Marquise Brown and Willie Snead and Miles Boykins and Mark Andrews and those guys would be all world, even if Lamar Jackson isn't there, I beg to differ. I think those brothers on Kansas
but I'll say
City
this.
are all world no matter what.
Yeah, that's right. We see that the same way. But the Ravens are well coached and play well on both sides of the ball. And what I'm saying is another quarterback can get them to the playoffs. And so far, Lamar Jackson hasn't done more than that. The difference between Lamar Jackson, not a matter of always, but still no playoff wins. The difference between that and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes gives you a realistic. I'd make Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs the odds, not just the odds on favorite, the straight up favorite against the rest of the NFL every year. And so far it's borne out. MVP his first year. At the end of the AFC Championship game, if not for a whistle, this dude goes to the Super Bowl, probably wins. And the next year does win. And what you call a Hail Mary.
You had them for the
Mahomes
favorite last year.
Called his
You didn't have them for the favorites 2 years ago.
15 steps and threw a 60-yard pass.
You didn't have
Hail Mary.
15 steps. 15 steps pass. Watch the play. Watch the ball again.
It was a
15-step drop. Obviously, that's what you did. But here's the bottom line. You didn't have them as your favorite 2 years ago. You had them as your favorite last year, not 2 years ago. So they're not the favorite every year. They were the favorite last year. They're the favorite this year. We'll see.
Okay, let me tell you something. If I would have known what Patrick Mahomes was, I'd have made him my favorites 2 years ago. I know what he is now.
But you didn't.
All right.
But you didn't.
All I know is the Browns aren't the favorites. The Ravens stomped them. The Browns are in action tonight. We're going to discuss that game later, OBJ. We'll be diving into that. But, guys, we want to get back to a little NBA. Vince Carter on the other side. Was LeBron let off the hook by facing Denver instead of Kawhi's Clippers in the Western Conference Finals? The guys have plenty to say about this. Vinsanity next.
I know that I set a high goal. They say don't get your hopes high, but I got high hopes.